Alli. I'm a nutritionist and a yoga teacher and author of the Smoothie Book, and I'm here to talk to you every week about nutrition topics. This week is all about corn. We're going to talk the history of corn. We're going to talk about all the different types of corn and the varieties. We're going to talk about corn products. There are a lot out there, things that are made from corn. Some nutrition information, and then we're going to make a recipe by Cookie and Kate. You can find it on relish.com called Garden Fresh Corn Salad. It looks so good. I've already prepped all of the veggies, and my kitchen smells so good and fresh. So, welcome to the show. Please put any questions or comments down in the chat. I always love having conversations during the show. So please join in if you would like. So welcome to the show. I can't wait to talk about all of these things about corn. So I've already cut the corn off the cob of 3 cobs, and we're using it raw. We have not cooked it, which is interesting. So I just remembered I'm gonna take a little bit of the corn out of that bowl to save for my son to eat. So we will do that when we make the recipe. I'm gonna just put that bowl there to remind me. Okay, so what is corn? That's always the first question of the show. What is it? Corn, also known as maize or maíz in Spanish, is a cereal plant of the grass family, and it's edible grain. So the kernels are considered a grain. So corn is one of the most widely distributed crops in the whole world. So lots of different cultures are eating it. And it's used in so many different ways. It's used for human consumption, for food. It's used for livestock feed. It's used as biofuel, and it's used as a raw material in lots of different industries. We're going to go into detail about all of those things. So the history. Corn was first domesticated by the native people in southern Mexico about 10,000 years ago. So it's been around for a while, and they domesticated it from a wild grass called teosinte. So teosinte, the kernels were a lot smaller than what we're used to today with the corn that we know of. But it evolved over time. Farmers would choose particular kernels to domesticate and grow other plants with, and now we have today's corn based off of that teosinte. So around 4,500 years ago, maize began to spread to the north into what we call the United States now, in Arizona and in New Mexico. So it was cultivated up there about 4,100 years ago, or down there, I guess. I live in Seattle. Up there if we're talking from Mexico. So what are the different types of corn? They're basically classified based on the kernel. So we're going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kinds of corn, varieties of corn. So there's Dent Corn, which is corn that is typically used for livestock feed, and the corn kernel actually looks like it's dented. So that's why it's called Dent Corn. It says that it's characterized by a depression in the crown of the kernel caused by unequal drying of the hard and soft starch inside the corn. So it looks like it's dented. So that Dent Corn is used typically for livestock. Then there's Flint Corn, which is it contains a very little soft starch, so it's pretty hard, and it doesn't have any depressions in it, and it's used often for ornamental, decorative purposes, and also eaten as hominy as well. So then there is flour corn, which is corn used to make corn flour, and it has a soft starch. It's soft, mealy, easily ground, and the kernels are easily ground into corn flour. We're going to talk about corn flour in a little bit, but that is a type of corn. And then there's sweet corn, which is what we're typically used to for corn on the cob, or canned or frozen corn. This is it. This is sweet corn. And it is sweet because it doesn't have as much starch as all the other versions of corn. And let's see, so the plant sugar is not converted to starch like it is in the other versions. So it's sweet. And then there's popcorn, which I didn't know that was going to be a variety, so that's pretty cool. And it's an extreme type of flint corn, the decorative type, characterized by small, hard kernels, which we are all familiar with the kernels of popcorn before we pop it. It doesn't have any soft starch, and heating causes the moisture in the cells to expand and explode into the lovely pieces of popcorn that we know. We love popcorn in our house. Sometimes when it's just my son and I for dinner, we have popcorn for dinner and watch a movie. It's just one of our things, and it's so fun. So we love popcorn in our house. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of corn products. So first of all, we already talked about corn flour. So that is made from when dried whole kernels are milled into a flour form, and that includes the hull, the germ, and the endosperm, so it is considered a whole grain flour because you're using the whole grain, which is great. And it's usually yellow, but sometimes it could be white, sometimes it could be blue based on the color of the corn that was used. And the texture is fine and soft, so it's often used for breading things, it's used for pancakes, other baked goods that are going to be nice and soft. Then there is Masaharina, which is the corn flour used in a lot of Mexican cooking, used for things like corn tortillas, tamales, pupusas, and it is made from finely ground corn kernels that have been soaked in lime water or calcium hydroxide, so it is a little bit different than corn flour in that way. Then there is cornmeal, which is made similarly to corn flour, where they mill the whole corn kernels. Lots of C sounds today, C and K sounds, but it has a grittier and coarser texture than corn flour. So oftentimes cornmeal is used for recipes like cornbread, corn muffins that want to have a grittier flavor, the breading for corn dogs, and sometimes people put it underneath their pizza dough to give it that like nice texture as well. We used to do that. So that is one thing. And then there's corn starch, which is a white chalky powder that is used to thicken sauces and stews. It is made from the endosperm of the corn kernel. So the starches inside the endosperm are removed, rinsed, dried, and milled into a fine powder that turns into corn starch. And the other parts of the kernel, the hull and the germ, can be saved, separated out, and processed into other products like corn oil and corn bran. Speaking of corn oil is made from processing corn, as we know. But corn, as we know from eating it and seeing it, it doesn't have a whole lot of oil or fat in it. So it has to go through it's very refined. So it has to go through a lot of different processes to extract the oil, make it clean, all of that. So the kernels first have to be mechanically pressed to separate out the oil. Then the oil goes through a series of chemical processes that remove impurities and anything else that isn't wanted or needed. And then it's a pretty big process. If you watched my episode on vegetable oil, I explained the whole process that, they use chemicals like hexane to extract the oils, and then it goes through another process. So corn oil is kind of similar. So we know corn oil, it's used for cooking, for deep frying. It's used for deep frying because its smoke point is very, very high. So the point where when you heat it and it gets smoky is 450 degrees, so that's very high. So it's used a lot in deep frying foods. Corn oil is also used as an industrial cleaner and lubricant, and also made for fuel and gasoline and diesel-powered engines. And it's also included in many cosmetic products, liquid soaps, and shampoos. I did not know that. I thought that was really interesting. And then there is corn syrup, which we are familiar with corn syrup. We're familiar with high fructose corn syrup. Both of those are similar, except the high fructose has a little bit more fructose than the regular corn syrup. It's a sweetener made from corn starch. And it's used, of course, we know it's used in a lot of different processed products like cookies, cakes, soups, breads, sodas, juices, so many different places that it's used. It's also used in making the taste of envelopes, the sealed part. Sometimes it's used in that seal, and it's used on stamps, and it's used in aspirin. I did not know that either. I thought that was interesting. And we know high fructose corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup are used to sweeten beverages a lot. So corn syrup can be a thick liquid, or it can also be a dried crystalline powder. Two different versions. And then corn starch is this is another product. Sometimes corn starch is fermented and distilled to produce grain alcohol, many times used to make bourbon whiskey. So it's a corn-based alcohol. So those are all the corn products out there. There might be more that I missed, but those are the main ones that I found. So many different cuisines use corn. So let's just run through those. So Mexican cuisine, we just said that is largely based on corn. Corn tortillas are made from corn. And tamales, pozole has hominy in it. And then there is also the fungus of corn, or fungus of maize or maize, also known as hongo. And that is like a fungus, and it's considered a delicacy. And let's see, also corn maize or corn meal is made into a thick porridge in a lot of different cultures, like Italian polenta, and a Brazilian dish called angu, and then a Romanian dish, and then hominy grits are used in southern United States as a dish in South Africa and other parts of Africa as well. And of course, in the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Cyprus, and other parts of South America, corn on the cob is always something that's popular. We eat a lot of that at our house when we grill. And my Spanish friend today was telling me about a corn snack called Kikos, where it's kind of like corn nuts, but she said the kernels are smaller, and they're fried and have salt on them, and it's often used as a snack at bars and restaurants to go with your drinks. So I learned that today. That was pretty cool. And so let's see. Okay, so we talked about all the food products, the cuisines. Now sometimes the starch is used in a chemical way. Starch from maize and corn can also be made into plastics, fabrics, adhesives, and many other chemical products. And there is a version of purple corn called chrysanthemum, not chrysanthemum, but chrysanthemum, found in purple corn, is often used as a food coloring. So if you ever see that on a label, that is from corn. Pretty interesting. Okay, so let's talk nutrition and health information. So there are some good things that we can get from corn. So 1 cup of corn has about 177 calories, 41 grams of carbs, 5 grams of protein, 2 grams of fat, 4.6 grams of fiber, so a good source of fiber. It has some vitamin C, some vitamin B1, some folate, some magnesium, and some potassium. So raw yellow corn is composed of 76% water, so pretty good amount of water, pretty hydrating, 19% carb, 3% protein, and 1% fat. So pretty low in fat. Okay, let's talk about the health benefits. I have 4 to give you. Corn is a great source of fiber, and we're talking about eating the corn kernels. Okay, so Fiber helps us stay full longer, it helps our digestive system, it feeds the healthy bacteria in our digestive tract, may help protect against colon cancer. Popcorn has been found to also possibly help prevent diverticulitis, a condition that can be detrimental to our digestive tract, especially our colon. But of course, we've talked about fiber before. Dietary fiber is really helpful for our digestive system, may help lower our cholesterol, may help prevent several diseases like heart disease. So popcorn is a great snack. Check out, I did an episode on whole grains, and I made this. Oh, it's so good. It's spirulina, curry powder, garlic powder, and salt and olive oil on popcorn. It is so good. If you go to allishercliffewellness.com, my website, I'll just put it on here just so you know. allishercliffewellness.com. Okay. And there's a section where I have a lot of the recipes that I've done on all the relish shows. The recipe for that popcorn is on there. You gotta check it out. It's super good. Okay, number 2. Corn is rich in vitamin C. So 1 cup of corn gives us about 17% of our daily value, so it's something. Vitamin C, as we know, is an antioxidant. It helps protects our cells from damage from the free radicals. We don't like those. And overall good for our immune system. Number 3. Yellow corn is a good source of the carotenoids, which are plant compounds that are good for us, antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin. I've talked about that from other vegetables that we've had, which are good for our eye health and could help prevent lens damage that could lead to cataracts, and could also help prevent the age-related macular degeneration that can happen with our eyes. And they say that that's probably because lutein and zeaxanthin make up a large portion of the macular region of our eye. So if we consume more of it, it keeps that part healthy, helps us avoid getting macular degeneration. There was a study done on 365 people who had a high intake of carotenoids, especially the lutein and zeaxanthin, and they had a 43% lower chance of developing macular degeneration than those who had a lower intake of those carotenoids. So, good for the eyes. And number 4, corn has small amounts of vitamin B. We already talked about this a little bit, but I'll say it again. Vitamin B, vitamin E, vitamin K, and magnesium and potassium. So those are good things for us. So sometimes corn gets a bad rap, and these are the reasons why. So, you can choose to eat corn. It's best to eat it in its whole form, as in the kernels, versus like corn syrup or things like that. But it is a starchy vegetable like potatoes and peas, and does have sugars in it, natural ones that are carbohydrates. So if you have diabetes, just be aware, or if you're watching your sugar intake, just be aware of consuming it in moderation. They say you don't have to avoid it, but just being aware of eating it in moderation. And let's see, what else? And they have found that some people with celiac disease are sensitive to corn. So that's something that's interesting. I didn't know that. And also some people are wary of eating corn because it's been genetically modified. Sometimes scientists go in and change the makeup of the corn so that it's resistant to insects or drought, or maybe they put different nutrients in it. So if you're worried about that, buy organic corn. It hasn't been genetically modified. You don't have to worry about it. So keeping that in mind. What is the best way to store corn? Well, if you buy it, best eat it the day you have it. But if you're not going to eat it that day, keep it in the husks, keep it in the fridge, and it should be great for about 5 days, according to my research. So keeping it in the refrigerator will help preserve its flavor and integrity. Okay, so that's the info. Let's make a garden fresh corn salad. I can't wait. We're gonna have tostadas for dinner tonight. Beans, put some of this salad on top or on the side. Everybody's personal preference can be used there. And then some queso fresco. It's gonna be delicious. So I can't wait. Okay, so the prep for this, I did prepare all the vegetables already because I knew it would take more time than we will have on the show. But it didn't take too long. It probably took me, let's see, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vegetables and herbs that I cut up. And I used to be a recipe writer, and we would always say it takes about 5 minutes per vegetable, but maybe we could say 3 minutes. So let's just say it took about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes to prep. But then once you prep the veggies, all you do is mix them together with some oil and vinegar and salt and pepper. So no big deal. So it's a great, great, great looking salad. I will let you know how it tastes tomorrow or this week when I post about it on Instagram. Okay, so as I said before, I'm gonna take some of this corn out so I can save it because our little eater in our house a lot of times just likes things plain, maybe not everything mixed together in that salad, so I'm gonna keep that separate. Okay, so we have 3 ears of corn that I cut the corn kernels off the cob, and the method I used was I had this bowl. I put the cob, sometimes you can put a bowl upside down inside here, or you can just put the cob in, whatever works. And then you just take the knife and you cut it into the bowl because it can be kind of messy otherwise. Could get everywhere. So this way it contains itself in the bowl. It's great. So 3 ears of corn, minus a little bit from mine. The recipe calls for using 4 cobs, but I used 3. That's fine. Okay, next, 1 medium tomato chopped, and luckily we have a lot of tomatoes in our garden still. We have the little sun gold, the little orangish yellow. These are orange. So I cut them up into quarters. Yeah, into quarters. So you can cut your tomato however you like. The recipe says a medium onion chopped, about a 1/2 cup. So this is about a 1/2 cup of fresh tomatoes from our garden. Mix that all together. Okay. And what do we got next? 3/4 cup of chopped green onion. I forgot to add that to our mix, but I will. I will do that after the show. You will see it in the mix. Okay, green onion. Remember your green onion. Okay, 1 cup of quartered, thinly sliced cucumber. I did have that. And it said preferably English cucumber. So I cut mine into cubes because I thought that would make it look really pretty. Okay. There we go. And what's next? 1/2 cup of chopped fresh leafy herbs. So she suggests a variety of herbs. I just did parsley. I think parsley and cilantro would have been good. We didn't have cilantro, but I did parsley, and I did a lot. She says don't skimp on the herbs, so I didn't. This is, she says 1/2 cup. This is probably 3/4 cup. There we go. Okay, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And 1/2 cup of chopped radishes. I was really excited about this. I forget about using radishes. I cut them also very small. It almost looks like a red potato, doesn't it? That's really funny. Okay, 1/2 cup of chopped radishes. So fresh. This is going to be so fresh. 1 medium jalapeno, very thinly sliced. This is also from our garden. Our parsley's from our garden too. Jalapeno, I didn't try it to see if it's spicy, but we'll go with it. Okay. And what else? Oh, and garlic. It says 2 medium cloves of garlic. I did 3. We like garlic in our house. Okay. So we do that. Combine. So whoops. Okay, so we're combining everything. It already looks so good, even without the dressing. But the dressing will really add to it, I think. It's just so pretty. So, so pretty. Okay, now we're gonna make the dressing. I need to get a fork so I can whisk everything. Excuse me, my fork drawer is right below the camera. Okay, so we've got a tablespoon of vinegar. They say red wine vinegar, but I always like to use apple cider. So, there we go. We'll use a tablespoon apple cider vinegar. And how much olive oil? Oh, 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. So, there we go. 1/4 of a cup. And salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. And we'll just whisk this all together. Is that it? And pour over salad, toss to combine. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pour this into the salad. I might add a squeeze of lemon too, because I think that sounds nice and refreshing. Okay. Stir the salad. Still gotta add the green onions. I'll do it after the show. I'll make a point of saying it when I post it this week. The green onions are in here. Okay. Oh my gosh. This looks so good. And just so fresh. So, so fresh. Look at that. Looks really good. All right. So, I like that it's raw corn too. You know, I think the vinegar and the oil will kind of soften it a little bit as it sits. Okay, there we go. So, that's the story on corn. So many good things about corn, especially fresh corn. And this is the tail end of the corn season. So get some corn, ears of corn, make the salad at home. You can find it, the recipe on relish.com. It's called Garden Fresh Corn Salad. There we go. Thank you all so much for joining the show. Always great to see everybody here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again next time. Have a good night. Buy some corn.